girls, gays, and theys. And welcome back to the Queer and Podcast. I'm your host, Stasia, and today there is a lot to unpack and a lot to talk about. You may be wondering why I have been gone for a month or so. Been very inactive on all of my social medias, have not been posting episodes on here, and I'm just gonna give you a brief little life update. And there's not much of an update as there is, the cold hard truth that is depression. And I just remembered that I have to take my antidepressants. So I'm gonna take a pause and be right back. Oh my god. Okay, this is already going off to a great start. And we're back. So yeah, the truth of where I have been for the past month-ish is in a depressive episode. I had little to no motivation, and I don't know, it just started off with me being a little bit less consistent on here because finals and tests and college and adjusting to everything. And then at one point I was just like, what's the point? Like, I've already missed this week, so I might as well just stop. And now I've regathered my thoughts, and I don't want to stop this because this has been really therapeutic for me, and I've loved sharing my experiences and talking to you guys. And I don't know, I've loved this, and I don't want to get rid of it because I've had a bump in the road, a little bit of inconsistency, because I'm human too, and it happens to the best of us. Not saying that I'm the best, but it happens to everyone. So it's the new year, and I've decided that I'm just gonna go back on this, and it doesn't matter if people don't come back, if people forgot about it, whatever the case is. I want to just restart this, revisit this, because I've loved it and because it's been great. And I took a little break, but now I'm back. Okay, so hopefully you understand. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I've always been real. I've always been honest with y'all, and that's the truth. I haven't been at my best, and I haven't been able to perform daily tasks, and one of them just being this, and I was not good managing my time. I was not good managing my depression. I was not good, period. So sorry about that, but I feel better now, and I feel well rested. I'm halfway into winter break right now, and it's been good to not have to stress about college, and I think that this is a good time to revisit this, since I have a lot more time on my hands. So with that being said, I'm going to get into today's topic. But before I do, I need to show you guys my nails because I'm obsessed. Okay. Look at them. They are Christmas Winter Wonderland nails. Snowman, snowflakes, gingerbread man, little peppermint candies, and Christmas lights. I don't know, I just love them. And little festivities that have brought my depression to a low. I'm just kidding. It's the same depression with Christmas lights everywhere. So that's how I feel right now. And I've gotten 2 new tattoos. One is the semicolon. Whoa, where is this camera? Where am I going? And then one is, let me show y'all. Whoa, one is this girl right here, this girly. She's the National Eating Disorder Awareness Recovery symbol, and I love her. She is me. So yeah, that's pretty much my life update, a little wrap of where I've been for the past month, and now I'm ready to get into today's topic for real this time. Okay, so today's topic is going to be a topic that I find really important, and a topic that I think is very relevant in today's society, and I've seen it everywhere, and I do not like it, and that is the divide of the LGBTQ plus community. And I'm sure you guys are somewhat familiar with this, if not totally familiar with it, but I'm just gonna say it anyways. I'm sure, I mean, I've heard things such as LGB without the T, you know, wanting to exclude trans individuals from the LGBTQ plus community, or within the trans community, I've heard, you know, trans people denying the existence of gender fluid people or non-binary people, and, you know, not wanting that being put under the trans umbrella. So chaotic energy times 10,000. We've had a change of scenery, and I'm back in my house in Serbia visiting my family for the holidays. That's another little update, which is why this is the scene and not my pride flag usual background. So I apologize for that. But yes, let's just get back on track to what we were talking about, and that was the divide in the LGBTQ plus community. So the divide within the trans community, and, you know, not wanting gender fluid and non-binary people under the trans umbrella by, you know, people who are in the trans community, whether that's trans men or trans women, and then with, you know, gay, lesbian, and bisexual people not wanting the T, which stands for the trans community within the LGBTQ plus acronym, which is bullshit, let me tell you right now. So yeah, that's the kind of divide I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be dissing, really, because I have nothing positive to say about this. I'm actually very grossed out and very disgusted by people who perpetrate this, and people who already marginalized communities even more, and don't make space for them within their own community. And that is disgusting, gross, horrible, and I have no words. So let's dig deeper. So I think especially, I'm just gonna start with the LGB without the T whole thing, because that's something that I see a lot of, and that's usually by privileged white gay people or bisexual people, and I think that privilege has a lot to do with this, because I think that if you are not privileged in a lot of different ways other than just your sexuality, you do not think the same way that typically privileged people do in other ways, because, I mean, you have that privilege, so you sometimes lack the empathy, and lack the worldview of, hey, this is my privileged life, but there are other people who have it worse than I do, and let's try and make this place safe and welcoming for them as well. So LGBT without the T whole thing, I've heard a lot about that from TERFs, such as J.K. Rowling, or, you know, influencers who are TERFs, gay influencers, bi influencers who are TERFs, who do not accept the trans community, do not accept the trans community, and, you know, they don't want to be associated with the trans community because, oh no, like, that's where I draw the line. My sexuality wasn't a choice, but being trans was, and it's all made up and whatever. That's because it's one thing, and I'm pretty sure that there's like a theme. I'm pretty sure I've said this in like one of my videos before when I was talking about something, but it's one thing to not fully understand something or not fully grasp something and still be okay with it and still accept it and, you know, want to educate yourself on it and learn about it and etc. And it's another to not fully grasp it and reprimand it just because you don't fully grasp it, or just because you don't experience it. And just because you don't experience it doesn't mean that it's not true for other people. And I've seen this a lot with you know, people who don't want trans people within, you know, the LGBTQ plus acronym, because usually they'll say like, oh, it's not real, it's made up, it's fake, or whatever. need I remind you that the same things that are now being said about trans people were being said about gay people back in the day. And, you know, we were able to destigmatize sexuality in a lot of ways. There's obviously still a lot of ways for improvement, but that's for another video. We were able to destigmatize sexuality, and we were able to get a lot of legal, at least in the US, a lot of legal support, legal help, you know, legalizing same-sex marriage, etc., that have helped with prosperity for the LGBTQ plus community and with, you know, social equality and social justice. And, you know, that's a huge step, but it wasn't like that before. You know, the same things that are being said about trans people, oh, like, they're too young to know, said that about gay people too. Oh, it's not real, it's made up. Well, that was said about gay people too. Or like, oh, it's a mental illness, that was said about gay people too. You know, like, all of these things, the exact same rhetorics, phrases, whatever, has been quote by quote, word by word said about gay people before. And it's just shifting from gay people to trans people because we haven't reached the level of acceptance that we have for gay people as we have for trans people, which is why that there is still very, very active transphobia and harmful transphobia, even by people within the community themselves. And I think that, you know, perpetrating that and spreading that, especially as someone who is within the community, is harmful, but also so gross, because how dare you tear apart a community? How dare you want to just have the community be a place for people that, you know, you can accept and you can grasp. And, you know, because maybe some people can't understand, there's still plenty of people in the world who don't understand gay people, who don't understand bi people, who don't understand, you know, sexuality, or, you know, the fluidness of sexuality or whatever. And in that same way, those people don't grasp that. That means that they might not accept you in a lot of ways, and that doesn't feel very good now, does it? And as part of a marginalized community, we know how it feels to be misunderstood and to be hated for simply, you know, being ourselves and simply existing. And yet we are doing the same thing to people within our own community. Like, if you fully think about that, like, there's so many things that I can say on that topic, but it's just so weird to me, because where is your empathy? What is going on? And I'm just a little bit confused. I mean, a lot of bit confused, because I don't know how you can go your whole life, or your whole, you know, at least gay life, I mean, since you're coming out or whatever, and I've seen it from so many, like, impactful influencers too, like impactful gay people within the community who have done a lot on destigmatizing, you know, sexuality, and destigmatizing, you know, gay experiences, and talking about and they've done a lot of really good and empowering work for the community, and then they go off and say things that are so out of line and so transphobic. And it makes you think, like, where is this coming from? Why? Like, what is going on? What, like, where is this divide? Like, what is happening? And it also makes you think, is this what right-wing people want? Is this what Republicans want? They want to divide us in any way possible so that they can use anything, any leverage that they have against us. Because if, let's say, this is an example, like, there's someone who's running for office, and, you know, they are a TERF, or, you know, they are transphobic, but, you know, they're like, oh, I get gay, I get lesbian, I get bisexual, but the trans, that's where I draw the line. And if somebody from the same community goes ahead and, you know, votes for that person because they're like, oh, yes, this is something that I agree with, does that person really actually care about our community? No, of course not. They're not going to do things that are actually going to uplift our community. They're not going to vote for things that are going to help our community because they don't accept everybody. And that's the big deal. And I mean, I think that it's a very good political leverage. Good in a way that it's like a smart tactic, but it's not good in terms of like humanity and empathy and, you know, basic human decency and respect for other people. But I can see where the tactic comes in as someone, you know, who wants to gain more power, and especially wants to gain the vote of marginalized communities so that they can go and be like, hey, look, I'm inclusive, I have a diverse, like, voting, I love diversity, I love gay people, or like whatever, and so that they can, you know, go ahead and flex about that and, you know, pretend to be this all-inclusive, all-diverse politician or, you know, person, when really in reality they're not. They don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about diversity. They don't give a shit about inclusivity. They just love power. And that's the hard truth. But then when you see, you know, everyday people or, you know, influencers or people like that, who, you know, they're not, I don't want to say it, like, how to word it, they're not really powerful people per se. Sure, they have a following and, you know, that makes them more likable maybe to some people. They have more followings or whatever, but they don't hold some kind of power that they can now, you know, use against people or whatever. And you see everyday people and influencers like that think those ways, and it's so odd because it's like, first of all, it's so harmful in many ways because if you have a large following as an influencer, you have a lot of impressionable fans, because usually there's a lot of obsession over, you know, influencers. And look, I'm not here to drag those people because that's me too sometimes, you know, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not here to drag that, but, you know, it's confusing to me because it's like you're sending this message out to, you know, your followers who themselves can be part of the community and themselves might even be trans, might even be this thing that you are saying you hate so much, or you don't want to be associated with so much, and you're hurting so many people, intentionally or not. But I think that there is some intention behind it when you go ahead and say stuff like that, because your ignorance is a choice. Ignorance is forever a choice, because there are so, especially nowadays with the internet, with social media, with everything, like, oh my god, there are so many resources where you can better educate yourself. So many resources. Tons and tons and tons and tons of influencers who talk about their trans experiences. So many people who share their trans experiences. So many books about it. So many movies about it. So many videos about it. So many research, like there's articles. There's so many ways that you can better educate yourself in modern society. And that's the one thing I love about social media and I love about the internet. It's like there's so many quickly accessible things that don't even take that much of your time. It's like a 10-second Google search, and then you already get tons and tons of results. Super quick way to get educated. And for me, I've always said this and I've always thought this. I am a queer activist myself. I'm an activist for a lot of other, you know, marginalized communities in general, but I don't like speaking for all marginalized communities, because I don't even like speaking for the lesbian community or for women, because even though I'm a lesbian and even though I'm a woman, I do recognize that I don't hold every single, like, my experience isn't be all end all. It's not the only experiences that is possible for a woman or for a lesbian. There are a lot of different experiences that people like me go through, and there's not a wrong or a right way to experience something, and I'm never going to try and yield that narrative, because it's just not true. And I think that with, you know, being part of the LGBTQ plus community, and if you're gay and not trans per se, but, you know, you're saying like, oh, this is exactly how my experience was, and this is like how it is, and that's it. Like, no. And you know what I like to advocate for is listening to various perspectives on certain issues, and also listening to issues that you're not a part of. For example, trans people. I'm not trans. I will never understand fully what it is like to be trans, because I don't experience daily life as a trans person. I don't, and I never will, and that's the reality, you know? But that doesn't mean that just because I don't fully understand it and I don't experience it, that it's not real and that it's not, you know, around us, per se. The same way that I will never be Black and I will never experience racism, and, you know, the daily life as a Black person doesn't mean that I'm going to dismiss the discrimination that they face, because it's very real. Even though maybe it's not real to me because, oh, I don't experience it, but it's real to them, and you hear stories about it and you hear experiences about it, and it's just called empathy, where you can empathize with the person and you can recognize the wrongs and you can stand in solidarity. That's all it takes. And it's really super easy to, you know, find a trans person that speaks about their experiences, and if you don't understand it, that's a great resource. Start there, you know, start talking with trans people, start communicating with the community, because that's the best way to learn more and to get a lot of different personal experiences and a lot of different personal perspectives, because like I said, everyone's experience is a little bit different than someone else's. And just by talking with the community, you can see like, hey, these are real people. These are real humans who have real struggles, just like I have real struggles. And maybe I don't relate to it 100%, but oh my God, like, yes, this is a big issue. Yes, this, that. And that's how really it started for me, because when I was closeted, there was a lot that I wasn't ready for. There were a lot of conversations that I wasn't ready for, right? And so I think that for me, it was super important that there were already people out there talking about their experiences that I could relate to, and that I could go to, because I wasn't ready to talk about it, but other people were, and other people were, you know, allowing me to feel less alone. And I think that there's, I mean, I don't know, this whole divide that's happening right now, I think it's really because lack of empathy, privilege, ignorance, lack of education, because no well-educated person is transphobic, is homophobic, is racist, is sexist, whatever, because that's just not how it works. And so I think that when, you know, people within people within the community themselves are like very transphobic, I think a lot of it comes from just not caring enough, or, you know, they'll just miss any other experiences that's different than theirs and be like, no, how come I didn't feel that way? No. And it's so insensitive, ignorant, disgusting, gross. All of that is true, and all of that stands. But how can we resolve this? Like I said, education. And I think that if you, let's say you come across a person like this, you know, you come across a friend or colleague or anyone really that, you know, you may be talking to, and they may be gay and they may be saying some, you know, some transphobic things, I think that a good thing to do is, you know, stop the conversation, or, you know, in a respectful way, like you don't want to cut them off, you know, maybe let them finish what they were saying. Then you can just go and be like, hey, so this is not how we're going to talk about other people. We're not going to bring people down within our own fucking community, especially just because we don't understand it, just because we're not educated enough on the topic. I would highly suggest that you go ahead and do some education on that, and, you know, come back to me after you've spoken to 3 trans people about their experiences. You know, view these people as humans, because that's really ultimately what we all are. Humans. We're just humans, right? And trans people, just like gay people, just like Black people, just like women, just like any minority, they're not doing anything to harm you. So their existence does not harm you in any way, shape, or form. So your hatred for them is not justified, not valid. And you can spin it 10,000 ways that you want, but in the reality, it's never justified. It's bullshit. It's your own feelings are getting in the way of, you know, viewing this person as a human being for whatever reason that may be. And that's something that you personally need to work on, and you need to like settle within your own head, I think. If there's, I don't know, there's probably way better ways I could have worded that, but I feel like you guys know where I'm getting at. Okay, so that's with that topic. Then the next topic is within the trans community, the divide, which the trans community in itself is already such a small portion of the population that even trying to divide that small teeny tiny portion into these two sides is, oh my god, so insufferable. Like, it's so annoying that there's this divide happening even with small communities itself. Because I've heard from a lot of trans people that, you know, they don't agree with gender fluidity or non-binary people, or, you know, that's not real. Like, oh, it's real because, like, oh, there's only two genders, like male or female. Like, you're either, you know, a cis male, trans male, cis woman, trans woman. I don't know why I just blanked right there. Or that's it. Like, there's only two genders. I don't know, like, people are making these things up. People are bored these days. And there's a video of that one makeup guy, Jeffree, I don't remember his name. Jeffree Star. And he was like, it's all made up because we were all bored in our houses during COVID. First of all, no. Non-binary people and they them pronouns have existed long before COVID-19, okay? They've literally existed in indigenous people's history. It's there, you know, two-spirited people, and that was a very, very long time ago. You know, these people have always existed. Let's just start there. Like I've said before with the transphobic rhetoric, this is the same thing. It's been used before for gay people. You know, they've said, like, there's so many gay people nowadays, like, this is all made up now. No. Gay people have long existed. Same with trans people. Same with non-binary people, gender fluid people. All of that has existed long before. There are a lot of reasons that maybe we haven't heard about it, you know. Whitewashed history, genocide. There's just so many reasons that, you know, maybe we haven't heard about it, maybe we aren't familiar with it, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't there and that it doesn't exist. And so when it comes to non-binary people and, you know, gender fluid people, a lot of times people will say, like, that's not real, like, you can't feel like nothing, or you can't feel in between. And once again, going back to what I was saying before, just because you maybe don't understand it fully and you've never experienced it doesn't mean that it's not a real feeling. Kind of like with mental illness. I guess I'm just trying to make a comparison where I can. Depression. Like, someone who doesn't have depression can very easily dismiss depression and be like, that's not real. What are you, depressed? Like, okay, sure, you're sad, but like depressed, like, that's, you're just exaggerating, you're dramatic, you're this, you're that. And it's like, no, depression is a very real issue, and people with depression know that it's a very real issue, right? Just because you don't have depression doesn't mean that depression isn't real, right? That goes with anything. Just because you don't identify as non-binary doesn't mean that other people don't, and doesn't mean that it's not a real thing, or, you know, whatever. So, Lord help me, because I keep seeing so many people talk so negatively about the non-binary community, the gender fluid community, gender non-conforming community, and it irks me, because where's your empathy, where's your education, where's your acceptance, where's all of, like, what is going on? And just like the same thing that I said to the transphobes, I'm gonna say to the non-binary phobes. I don't know what I would call these people, because I mean, they are in the trans umbrella, but this is like a more like specific thing. So anyways, what I would say to somebody who, you know, doesn't understand, doesn't want to, like, just is like, non-binary isn't real. Well, what I would say, same thing that I said to the transphobes, is, hey, talk to some non-binary people. Ask them about their experiences, ask them about their feelings, ask them what made them realize they were non-binary, you know? Stuff like that. And the more that you talk with people, the more that you see their, like, you hear their experiences, the more that you'll start to realize, hey, okay, this is making sense. This is, you know, just someone who's trying to live their life the same way that I'm trying to live my life. So why am I hating on them? And I also think it's weird to, you know, be so obsessed with people in that way, where you're always like talking about it or you're always hating on it, where it's like, can you just let people live? Can you just let people live? Like, you don't need to be dragging them every second of every day. Like, it's real unnecessary, very unnecessary, truly. So I mean, I don't get where the obsession comes. I mean, same thing with like homophobes. It's like, where is this obsession coming from? Like, we are just trying to live, exist. So let us be, let us live, let us exist. Truly how I feel, truly how I felt always. If someone's not harming you or themselves or others or whatever, it's none of your business. It's none of your business. Let people be who they want to be, please. It's the same thing, like, if you see someone like dressed up in, like, I don't know, all black, it's like, okay, let them do that. All pink, okay, sure, whatever, doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. And like, that's that. It doesn't have to always be so, like, I don't, people just get mad over everything, and it's like, why? Get a life, please. And it's not funny, it's not cute, it's not quirky, it's just weird and disgusting and ignorant. So yeah, this divide within our community makes me really sad, because I love the entirety of my community, and I love that I love the community that we have formed and the acceptance that we have formed, the chosen families that we have formed, and all of these great and amazing things. But then there are these divides that keep happening that try to, you know, break us apart from each other, which I think is also another tactic, because it's like, oh, okay, so you have the LGBTQ plus community, which is already small enough population of people, and then you're dividing them into like all these different subsections, and you're trying to like, oh, like, no, but I don't accept these ones, I don't accept these, like, you know what I'm saying? And so then you're trying to make this whole divide so that really we can't all come together in solidarity and fight for equality, which is kind of what people want, because they don't want to have equality for whatever reason. People don't want to have equality. I don't get it, but that's how things are, unfortunately. I mean, I don't know what else to say on this topic. I feel like I've said my thoughts. I don't know, but I know that I've seen videos of people, or seen people share videos of Jeffree Star's horrible rant about how non-binary people don't exist, and there are a lot of tough conversations that I'm gonna have with a lot of my close friends, because it's important to call people out, and it's important to educate people. And all of this shouldn't be an excuse. All of this is never an excuse, you know. I think that you should always be educated, and it shouldn't take me or someone else telling you, or someone else's experiences or whatever, for you to care about it. It shouldn't take, you know, it to somehow affect you because maybe it's your friend or your family member or whatever, for you to care about it. You should just care about it, period. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. So yeah, that's kind of all there is for this video today. I will see you guys next week, that's for sure. I have no idea what days I'm uploading on here. Like, I don't know. I don't have that figured out. I don't have a fixed schedule yet, because it's very different during break and it's very different during school. So different times work for me, but I know it's once a week. So that's all I can tell you right now. Hopefully soon I can have a set date. I tried doing Fridays, but then that didn't work during finals or during school. And then I tried doing Sundays, and then I just stopped altogether because depression. So I don't know, but once a week it will be. Sometimes there'll be bonus videos. I don't know though, but thank you for listening to me. I hope you all have a fabulous day, a fabulous week until I see you next time. And as always, I love you all. And follow me on all social medias. It's all lowercase and together, Queer and Podcast. Or Queer and Pod. No, I think it's Queer and Podcast. Anyways, that's Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. You're watching it from one, either Spotify or YouTube, but follow me on there as well. Subscribe, follow, keep up with me. I'm gonna become more active now on my socials. Kind of starting this up and going again. New year, new me? Not really new me, but you know, resume me, like we're going again at it. Yeah, as always, you can leave anything that you want to be discussed or talked about, any thoughts, anything like that, in the comment section. You can always DM me with ideas, with thoughts, anything like that. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.